Good morning.
Oh, so husky.
I sound like Muttley.
You sound like, oh, so poverino.
Yeah, I'm a tiny little poor child.
Oh, are you feeling a little better?
Yes, I am feeling a little bit better because I spent a significant portion of yesterday either in bed or lying in the sun. So that's a bonus.
Oh, that is a bonus. People won't know this, but I made Lee sick by asking him to get some industry partners together for a bid. And that... Oh, no. And,
Sorry.
That's just going to be lovely listening to that. Or
Just 1 second, I've got one more.
This is a podcast in which two friends talk about the pleasures, absurdities, and imperfections of being human. I'm Simon Ellis.
And I'm Lee Miller. Welcome to Midlifing.
I'm going to edit these out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so sorry about that. That was clearly, it was, as they say, a bridge too far operation.
No.
Market garden.
No. All that happened was, when everybody has a deadline, and it's the most important deadline in the world. And I've done this myself. I said there's no critique of any single individual, but I had 5 different people, all of whom I care about deeply, all of whom were saying this is the most important thing in the world, and if you don't deliver it right now, the entire world is going to collapse. They didn't at all say that.
Because I definitely was. I'd already talked with that person, going, you know what, this might not happen. It won't be the end of the world. I'd literally use those words.
Yeah, you had very clearly given me a get out of jail free card, but I also wanted to deliver. But it's just that thing where there's pinch points in everybody's life, and it just happened that 5 different people had pinch points all at the same time, and I was required to give a little bit of assistance.
And it was a bit too much for your 4-year-old immune system. 3, 4, 5, 3?
Just 2.
Oh, goodness.
I'm just a baba.
I forget you are just a little... You're a spring chicken.
I don't feel like one today. I feel like a spatchcocked chicken that has been...
Barbecued
badly. Yeah. So I did. I spent much of last week just getting more and more sick.
Oh, and when did it peak? When did you reach peak sickness?
I think I probably reached peak sickness at around about 11:52 on Friday morning.
Right, and you were actually working then, weren't you?
Yeah, I worked until 5 o'clock. Well, I actually worked until 4:30 on Friday because I'm
telling.
I can't.
I'm telling. It's
anymore.
Outrageous.
Well,
I hope you pay the university back those 30 minutes of. That's probably like about £200 at your rate.
I'm gonna gently. Well, it probably is actually, but I'm gonna gently acknowledge that last week I was logged on by about 6:15 every single morning.
Yeah, but that's just bonus. That's you.
Yeah. That's my choice. It's yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. That's not good at all, is it?
Well, no, but as I said yesterday, I spent it in bed and in the sun. I went to see a dance piece last night, and I only coughed through 15% of it.
Wow, that's. I'm not sure that's...
A commitment to culture?
Yeah, I'm not sure that's something I would take as some kind of analgesic.
I bought the tickets a couple of weeks ago. Diana Neepsa Hornfuckers. And so I thought, who your good friend Kate Marsh interviewed as part of the... Anyway,
yes.
It's separate. Yeah. And so I went to see that piece.
You know, when you buy tickets to dance, it doesn't mean you have to go to the dance, you realise?
Yeah, I know.
They still get the same money.
I know. But I went to see them. I've got tickets to see Vera Monteiro on Wednesday. I'm doing lots of culture.
Wait, hang on, where's this culture happening?
Well, given that I have two homes, one of them is in Totnes and the other one is where there is culture.
Yeah,
That will
you
give an
tour to
indication.
culture. You don't wait for it to come to you. You go to it, baby.
Well, it's just one of the things. I don't know how you feel about this. Living in
nothing.
the UK.
I'm numb. I'm completely numb. Go on. Living in the UK.
Living in the UK, it used to be that it was relatively easy to go
it's
and
true,
see
isn't it?
quite a lot of work
And then
all
what?
around the
Brexit
country.
happened.
It was a bit before Brexit, really. It was the 2012 Olympics that really put the kibosh on the local arts scene because
Just all that money went to...
Yeah, a good number of mid-scale venues closed down, and it's sort of there's just I mean, I gave a oh my god, listen to me. I gave a paper at the Houses of Parliament about 18 months ago, maybe 2 years ago, telling them why they had pinched off a pipeline that was ruining the creative industries and they needed to pull their finger out and fix it. Nobody listened, but that's fine.
It doesn't mean you didn't give the paper, though.
No,
exactly. That's basically if a tree falls over in the forest, does anyone hear it? I actually have something I wanted. I had a funny experience. Well, not funny at all, and I wanted to get your take on it. Unless you've got something else. Unless you've got something that you wanted to.
No. I could talk about the parlous state of culture in the UK and how I now have to come all the way over to Lisbon to just go and see relatively small scale work. But no, let's instead talk about you. Much better.
Well,
please.
It's not. I mean, so I should say last week I talked about saying goodbye to my cousin-in-law whilst wearing PPEs, right?
Yes, you did, yeah.
And I wanted to mention something, well, two things about that. First of all, I happened to read something later in the week, I'm just getting it, which was about, it's Ashley Montague, I guess, in a book called Touch, observed that the word touch has the distinction of the longest entry in the Oxford English Dictionary. It's longer than even the entry for the word love. And so because you think about touching, being touched, all the kinds of variations on touch, but and I just wanted to add that as a little kind of full stop to that particular experience. But I wanted to say that the same cousin-in-law, Caro, died last Wednesday in New Zealand time. Yeah, and
I'm sorry, darling.
Yeah, I think I'm... And I wanted to talk about something that happened that morning as I was thinking on it. And it was a strange experience. Not actually a strange experience, but quite you might say a predictable experience. That is, I fell apart, bawling. You know, I had one of those real kind of fantastic cries where you just... And it occurred to me that as it was happening, well, first of all, the obvious thing, which is it's both joyous and filled with grief. So grief has that kind of weird combination of things. But the thing that I thought was interesting that I wanted to ask you about was that I recognized that I was crying for Caro's loss. I recognized that I was crying for the bereavement of her family, meaning her close family, my cousin and their children. I also recognized that flashing across my awareness was the death of my parents, so the deaths that have happened the close deaths that have happened in my life, and also mixed in all that was there's a touch of fear of my own mortality, but only a slight amount. And then the best part, well, not the best part, but the strangest part was also the sense of what it will be like that I was almost crying for the people I will leave behind. That is what it will be like for them when I die. And I just wanted to mention that because it was so easy to say I was crying for Caro's death, but it was so much more kind of tangled and messy as a phenomenal experience. And I wondered what you think about that.
I feel singularly
unqualified
to have this conversation because, as you know, I'm a 52-year-old man with two parents. My grandparents all died. I mean, two died before I was born, So I didn't meet my mum's dad. I didn't meet my dad's mum. My mum's mum, died when I was 8, which was the moment that I became an atheist, which was quite interesting. And then, like, my granddad died at 15. And
You were 15, he wasn't, just to be clear.
I was 15. Yeah, he didn't die at 15. He died at 18-9.
Yep.
I'm basically 15 when my last, what you would think of as close family member, died. All of my dad's siblings have died since then, and I was variously close to them, very close to my Auntie Joan. That was sad, but again, it was kind of like, you know, the death of an aunt or an uncle is kind of like one step removed from you, because you know that your grief mustn't touch on their children's grief. It's sort of not allowed to overlap. Does that make sense?
Yes, no, it does. There's that lovely, which I actually was thinking about the other day, that lovely diagram, sort of circles of connection, and basically the idea that if someone's within a circle inside, you give them support, and anyone in a circle outside of you, you can dump outwards. And I actually just really like it as a sort of schematic for thinking about the nature of a grieving or a very difficult situation. Does this person need my support? Oh, they need my support. I'm not going to dump shit on them.
Yeah.
And it's clear in that sense. The auntie, you're that person who is just supporting that family, not, anyway.
And so I think since I was 8, if I'm really, really honest, every human being that has died, my job has been to be supportive, not to have my own grief response.
Yes, so that's interesting, because in this case, I would say exactly the same thing, right? I'm not.
Yeah, but but you did say that what it did was it kind of like it revivified other things. That's the distinction
exactly.
I'm making. I'm not saying that you're trying to claim something.
No, exactly. But it's also that experience of bawling, of that kind of wondrous crying, was all those things flashing across as if it was the sum of all those things at the same time. Does it make sense to you? Does it interest you, or do you kind of like go, what the hell, you know?
I think the reason I'm going like back is because I feel a sense of, and this is such a silly and weird thing to say, Simon, and I'm so totally aware of it, but I feel a combination of guilt and shame that I have been able to float through the world with a level of inoculation against what you are talking about. And then the closest I have, and I am so aware that people will
dogs
bridle. Yeah.
I don't think there's anything to bridle about that, frankly.
No, some people. I think no, I know, but I think if you've lived in a house with a dog, I think if you've lived with a house with a dog, you know how many. And actually, psychologists have done the studies and say that actually the loss of a dog is as difficult to manage.
I've also lived in a house with a man who euthanized dogs and cats for a living. So I mean, that's not all he did, but you know. So
no, yeah.
I'm sure he did his best to save them as well.
I was going to say, can we just be clear that your dad was a vet? He didn't just go around killing animals.
Exactly. Who are you going to call? Pet killer.
I live with a man who murdered dogs and cats, some rabbits.
And I used to call him, I don't know, Dad.
Hey, isn't it interesting that we both have a father who kills animals? Oh. Admittedly, mine cuts them up and then eats them.
Yeah. My dad was doing the pre-work for your dad.
I'm not sure many of your dad's dispatches would end up on my dad's table.
At least I hope not.
No, me too.
Yeah, I mean, in Malaysia, you know, you'd have some dog for sure.
Gosh, no thanks.
Horse in Sardinia.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Anyway, so I mean, the closest I can think of is actually, and not even our first two dogs, Henry and William. Henry was 13 when he died. William was 15 when he died. They were both like good deaths. Stephen was 3. That was fucking brutal. That was really hard. And I think, so I'm not doing any equivalents for other people.
You're right, isn't it? Because it's very hard to switch backwards and forwards between humans and, as they say, animals. But of course, we are animals. But yes, there's something about our kind of awareness and our capacity to reflect and talk about these things, and also to be aware that we are going to die.
Yeah. So I think probably when it's come up most explicitly it's always been in the fear of other people going, not about me. I've never really been worried about what. I don't think I've ever thought about who will be left behind.
I think that was the part of it which was, I think that the proximity of the grief is to do with my father and my mother dying. Yeah. I think that's where I know the feeling, put it that way. But the thing that was felt had the most weight in that strange conglomerate, that strange mixture of things that were flashing through my awareness was of those who would be left behind when I died. So I'm not talking about, because Lil, it's more than likely, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about younger people who will almost certainly be still alive when I die. Caro, by the way, was 53.
Oh,
I know.
Baby.
Yeah, just a bloody baby, said the 52-year-old to the 57-year-old, or vice versa.
So yeah, and I wonder again if that's because you've got an extended family, you've got nieces and nephews who are in your life. So I suppose you've got, because I know, and everybody knows that we are both child free. So we don't have immediate family that will be left behind, but you do have an extended family.
Yes.
Maybe I wonder if that makes a difference.
I think it probably does. I can't imagine the complexity of that for if you have your own children. And I guess I guess you have to do the best you can to not to steal them, but to that conversations about death are normalized such that there's a sort of sense that it's present without it being fixated on, or it's just about. It's one of the things that gets talked about in the day-to-day experience of being human, which I think it doesn't tend to be, right. It tends to be something we don't talk about. But yes, I think it must be. I think of my mother. I think she spent a lot of her life concerned for our well-being after she died. That was her. It was quite a strong thing for her. I don't think it's necessarily very good or useful, but at the same time, I also admired it.
Do you think part of that was driven by the fact that your dad died relatively young?
I wonder. I mean, Mum had a singular fascination with death. I don't mean in a sort of gloomy way. I just mean that, I think I've said to you when I asked her if she was afraid of dying, this was maybe 3 weeks before she died, she said, no, I've been, building up to or waiting for this moment all my life. So it was very much a part of her spirit and her spirituality really was to. So I don't know the answer to that question.
I can project to that idea about what happens, who I leave behind. And I think what becomes interesting for me is how relatively small the ripple feels like it will be. I remember after we did our wills about a year ago, although remember I have to sort out a will for this place here. Note to self, not note for you.
I mean, I can do it for you if you like. If that's. I've got a few ideas. I got some people who come to mind.
One of the major things that we were addressing when we were writing our will was who will get the dog. Because in a way, all of the other stuff is kind of an irrelevance.
It also gets taken legally. Most of that stuff happens by default in a way that probably suits you.
Yeah, I mean, we wrote our wills so that it was more it wasn't just by default; it was by design,
Yeah.
which was useful. But the dog issue was the thing that we were really clear about. It's like, we will almost certainly always have dogs. And the idea of them being surrendered to a dog's home makes me feel physically ill.
But
So,
will you have to, even when you fully transfer to Portugal, would you have dogs in that wee place?
yeah, well, so this is the thing. This will never be our only home.
Yeah, because of your parents' place.
Yeah. So by the time we've transitioned here, either I'll be moving backwards and forwards, taking care of some incredibly decrepitudinous elderly folk. Because by the time, by the time we stop working, they'll be, comfortably in their 90s.
Yeah.
And so if I'm going back, if they're still alive, of course.
Or more likely they'll be dead, and you and I will be able to revisit this conversation in a totally different light.
Absolutely, but it won't be in a totally different light. It will be in a somewhat different light, won't it? Because it's interesting when you said that your mum had been sort of preparing herself for this moment all her life. This conversation has made me realise something. That my mum has been preparing me for her death since my grandmother's death. Because death didn't exist until my gran died. And then my mum started to talk about what happens afterwards. Not in a where do you go when you're dead kind of a thing, because that's not the language of the conversation. It's the pragmatics of, who do you live with? What does it look like? Where is the will kept? All of those sorts of things. And that, that started very, very young. So that there was a level of pragmatism to the idea that, well, death is something that is going to happen, and we just have to deal with the administration of it. Which reminds me, my mum has done Swedish death cleaning.
Has she?
She has.
Oh, that is fantastic. We should get her on the podcast, I swear. I want to hear.
She has gone through the house, and she said, oh, yeah, I got rid of $400. I was like, shit, what? Yeah. I'm not going to read them anymore. I've read them once. I don't need them anymore.
Yeah, so just for those, just in case people don't know, Swedish death, we've definitely talked about it before, but Swedish death cleaning is when you keep only the things for which you need to survive, so that everything else is gone from your house. So the idea that, the premise being that when you die, people come into your house and they're not left with this kind of world of craziness of having to sort out and go through all your possessions and decide whether to keep it or not, because you've made that decision already. Love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I've already started, frankly.
Yeah, and I am so, deeply the opposite of that person. I am, when I'm dead, somebody can just come along with a skip. Don't care, not my problem. I'll be dead.
Yeah, I see. The thing is, the thing about that, which I get, but it's not likely to be someone. It's going to be someone you know. And they won't be able to just stick it in a skip. They'll be going through it and going, oh, this was so, I really like,
Now, here's the thing. This goes back to being able to imagine a life after I'm here. The people who will be sorting out our property, God, even if it was relatives, they're not people who are in my life. They won't look at things and go, this was important to them. They'll just go, well, this is just shit.
But friends?
Maybe.
I think I would definitely, if it were me, just so you know, if you want to nominate me, I'll just bring a skip over.
I don't want to harsh your buzz, but I'm definitely planning on outliving you.
There's no way, motherfucker.
How do you reckon that?
I don't know. But we'll know that will be the moment this podcast ends.
When one of us is dead?
Yeah.
I really hope.
It's going to be our legacy. This will be our legacy.
Yeah.
Just that we just no one. There'll be one of us will have to pay for it, and then if it's me, that's fine. But if it's you, we need to transfer it so we both have access to very
you're gonna have to teach me how to upload. I don't even know how to do that. I just edit.
I feel like I could edit. I could get by. I wouldn't do it as quickly as you. I could definitely edit, but yes, I need to teach you to upload. Anyway, I'm going to do that next week. I'm going to teach you how to upload stuff. You can do it all, motherfucker. I'm saying that a lot. You could edit that out. I think that's a fantastic way to finish with that heaving cough of yours.
Oh, I don't want that to be the thing that people remember me by. What if this is my last podcast? I want them to remember me hale and hearty, not like... I was going to say syphilitic, but that's not the word I wanted.
Wait, I asked for a few industry partners and you got syphilis. Like, how the hell did that happen?
What's the word for lungy? Oh my gosh. The last 2 or 3 weeks have been so busy that whole chunks of my brain have fallen out and I can't remember words.
That's all
so
right.
apparently,
I
if
think
you have
syphilitic
a cough,
is fine.
It's syphilis.